I'm here with Dr. Lane. Uh, Doctor, would you just give some background to your career? Sort of start from right at the beginning, just so we can understand who Dr. Lane is.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm a dentist. I've been a dentist for, gosh, 14 years now, and I started off with the U.S. Army as a dentist for them for 4 years, and then I got out and joined a company called Comfort Dental, and ran several offices with them over the years. I actually moved on from them. They're a fantastic company, but I moved on from them a couple years ago for a new opportunity, and now I own a dentist out in, or I'm sorry, I own an office out in Hudson Oaks.
So, if you would please, just so that people can kind of relate to your life experience. You go to college, you then go to specialize in dentistry. You finally are qualified as a fully qualified dentist. Describe what happens actually from a sort of financial perspective to a dentist's career.
Oh, I mean, dentists typically come out of school with gobs and gobs of debt. Um, I've heard that story a lot. I was a bit different because I was on an Army scholarship, so I came out of school with maybe less debt, but the Army doesn't pay extremely well. They pay you with great experience.
Right.
So yeah, I came out of the Army, and you're kind of starting from zero. You're trying to build something. You're trying to build an office at the same time you're trying to build a nest egg.
And having a family, of course, which is always a great investment, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a great investment, just not a monetary one.
There you go. So, at what age your experience with your peer group, you come through college, you get all your qualifications, you have this gobs and gobs of debt, or in your case, gobs and gobs of life experience. What age are they then when they're starting to worry about the kind of things that we're going to talk about today?
I mean, shoot, most dentists don't even graduate school till they're 26 or 27, and then it'll be several years before they even look at this sort of stuff. Unfortunately, whatever age they're at, you always feel like you're about 7 or 8 years too late.
I've heard that from a lot of doctors who kind of finish doctors, graduate, finally finish their residency, and they say, I look at my peer group who did the easy degrees, and I want to catch up to their lifestyle kind of thing. But the first thing they want to do is sort of pay down debt. Is that kind of your experience and your peer group kind of experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, the first several years is not so much paying down debt as much as trying to build something that's going to generate a large enough income. You start a practice in the first several years, you're lucky if you're not losing money. You're certainly not making a lot, and then eventually you start making enough income to where you start to go, okay, I need to start putting some of this away.
That's actually an interesting point you made, because you're not just a dentist, you're also an entrepreneur. I mean, people forget that you're actually building a business behind that, and that doesn't just consume your time, it consumes your capital as well. But it's interesting. People see your white jacket and they kind of forget that actually you're having to run this entire business behind the scenes as well. All right, so now you get to the point where you're willing to save some money and you get introduced to this Kaizen plan. Tell me what your first impression was, and versus your choices, what made you interested to do Kaizen?
Um, Honestly, my first impression when I heard about Kaizen and started looking at it was, well, surely this is a scam.
We're too good to be true, all that sort of stuff. We hear that a
Yeah,
lot.
absolutely. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I had actually, I'd had a relationship with Jack, and I trusted Jack, but I still, with this plan, I had asked to come down and meet you all there, because I was like, I need to make sure that this is. Like, I need to make sure I'm understanding how this actually works, because I actually have had different, whole life and universe. Like, I've had many conversations with life insurance sort of providers, and this was so much better than everything that I had seen that it just didn't seem like it should work. So I felt like I really needed to understand what y'all were doing because it was just so like so much. The math didn't make sense to me at first because it's you kind of look at I mean, I spend a lot of my career looking honestly at treatment plans, but you get really good at identifying like, well, we're doing this amount of work. I might not know how all the numbers add up, but I can look at the number at the bottom and know that's just not right. Like something that's either that's in the ballpark or it just isn't correct. And I looked at your numbers and they were too good, and so I thought this just isn't correct. Like I need to know, I need to understand why this is.
Perfect. What was it that what was the epiphany moment there? Because you like a lot of us, you approach it, you're cynical, you look at it and you go, okay, when did the numbers click for you? What was it that made that happen?
When I understood how you all were negotiating the rates with the banks to get the actual funding in the capital, because the thing that didn't make sense to me at first is okay, well, what is the motivation for banks here? I actually have a family that is in banking, and so it just didn't make sense to me. Like, why would a bank want to even get involved with this process? And when I saw like with most of these things, like I need to understand how everybody is going to make money. Like nobody does anything for free. So I need to know how I'm making money. How are you making money? How is the bank making money? And I had to understand the motivation of all of the players for it to actually make sense.
Gotcha. It's actually cool that you have a banking family relationship there, because you could ask perhaps different questions than I'll say the normal person who doesn't understand how banks think. We actually spend a lot of time educating people on why this is a safe loan for the banks. Okay, so you finally get persuaded to do this. You've done this. How's your plan performed?
Oh, it's performed fantastic. I mean, it's to be perfectly honest, this is one of those things that I don't really follow that closely because it's I have sort of short-term investments, and this is so for me it's a long-term investment. Like one of the things that really appeals to me about this is sort of the fire and forget nature of it. Like I put in my money and I do that every couple of years, and y'all just kind of take over. And if nothing else, this is the safe nest egg so that if I want to go do something crazy with Bitcoin, or if I want to go do some crazy risky investment, this is always going to be there for me. And so the plan has performed very well, but I almost haven't even concerned myself with it because I know it's going to be there.
Right. Actually, it's funny you say that, because that's actually the way we view it ourselves. Obviously, we are participants in this plan. We built it to be a safety net. So it's kind of interesting hearing you reflecting that back. All right, so you've done the plan. Where do you, and you mentioned one of the appeals here is, it's a short pay plan, right? What's your thoughts? How does it progress from here? What are the next things you're going to do?
Oh gosh. So for me right now, the what this has kind of allowed me to do is focus on building business. And so a couple years ago, I started a dental office, and frankly, I started a far bigger one and a riskier one than I would have if I didn't have this plan in place. Because I love the safety net. So the plan is there. I'm like when I go to retire, like at least I'm going to have that amount of money, and then that has allowed me to, with my practice, build a big one and focus on growing that, and that is where I sort of see my future growth and my focus for the foreseeable future anyhow.
Perfect. So it's actually interesting. You have just articulated what one of our presenters did at our university this year, who happens to be the head of investments for one of the life insurance companies that runs a $64 billion portfolio. He literally said what you just said. It gives you the safety net to do more risky investments with my other disposable income. So that's ironic that you just said something that mirrored what he said. From a plan point of view, that's great. Thank you for that. I'd like to pivot a little bit, and I'd like you to tell me a little bit about how you met Jack and your relationship with Jack, so that we can cut a part of this just to have a kind of like a small infomercial, if you like, about Jack. So tell me about Jack and how you met him and how you became a trusted advisor.
Okay, so actually, to do that, I have to pause for a second, and Jack is in the room, so I got to get Jack on video or recording, giving me permission.
Jack, yes. He's giving you the thumbs up.
Yes. Okay, yeah. Well, the reason I say that is because Jack is actually a patient of mine, and so like it's
okay. So
to disclose that without his permission is against the law.
You weren't one of those guys operating on him with his mouth full of metal, asking him to talk at the same time, right?
No. It's funny. I have a reputation. My wife jokes around that I have the perfect job because I can just monologue for 5 minutes and I don't need Jack to talk back. I can take it from there.
So he's a patient of yours. He started talking at some point, I assume, between anesthetic and drooling, spilling his water like I do every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jack is a patient of mine, and my favorite part of dentistry, honestly, is ironically not the teeth or the work. My favorite part are my patients and the people. And so I'm talking to everybody about anything. I mean, Jack may have intended to sales pitch me at some point, but he probably didn't even get the words out before I asked him what he did.
Right. So you start talking to him. At what point did he switch from a patient to being a patient, but also a trusted advisor? Tell me about that.
Oh gosh, I actually think we were sitting in a chair waiting for him to get numb, and I asked him, and we got to talking about what he did, and Jack's just a trustworthy guy. I mean, like when we eventually, like at some point, we set up a meeting to talk about the actual insurance products, but I already knew I trusted Jack at that point. It was more just a matter at that point of figuring out what are these products right for me? I knew he would. I always knew Jack would advise me for something that he thought was really good, and I tend to be a little controlling, so like I don't really trust anybody. How do I put this? Like, I trust Jack to advise what he thinks is the best. I don't trust anybody to be right all of the time. I don't even trust myself to be right all the time. So once he got talking about the products, I wanted to know more, and yeah, I kind of went from there because he was right.
Are you sure you weren't a CPA in your previous life? You sound just like a CPA. I don't believe anything anybody says until I've checked it myself, or an engineer, of course.
You know what's funny is I always tell my staff, like, I don't even care if I'm the one who put it in the chart. I still don't trust it because I'm going to verify everything before I do anything. So. I mean, you can trust Jack. Jack is going to steer you in the right direction, and he will always answer all of your questions. And if there's something that Jack can't answer, he will find you an answer. You never have to worry about Jack not coming through with something that he says that he will.
Last thing. So for people like yourself who get introduced to a plan like Kaizen, what's your message to them?
There are a lot of investments that can seem overwhelming, and frankly, a lot of life insurance, a lot of things are this way where the time horizon is so intimidating that I need to contribute. Like I'll have millions of dollars as long as I contribute religiously for the next 17 years, and I don't know where I'll be in 5 years or 6 years. I mean, the one thing I know is life is going to throw you curveballs. This plan, if you can commit to 5 years, this plan will take care of you from that point forward. And that is the thing that I love about this is look at you look at your finances now. Can I do this for the next 5 years? And then if you want to do it again, super. But if you don't, then you've got something set up, and you're set for the rest of your life to not have that stress.
So, Dr. Lane, from an inspirational point of view, what does your retirement look like?
My retirement looks like travel, frankly. At some point, the safety net that Kaizen has given me has allowed me to pursue other things that will pay off in a big way. And so the combination of those two, knowing that like my bills are paid at home, and I don't really need to stress about that. I mean, yeah, my wife and I are going to be traveling a lot.
And what's the first place you're going to?
I want to go to South Africa. I know it's random, but there are some places there that just look absolutely stunning.
I will tell you from personal experience, when you're up in the highlands just outside Johannesburg and you watch the sunset over the landscape, and the stars start to pop out, and they're just brilliant stars. It's a magical moment. You'll love it. So definitely one to be on your bucket list. You'll love it. I will tell you, wild buffalo doesn't taste that great. Just telling you now.
All right.